What's up, everyone? It's Caddy with MoneyVest. So we got a very important update on the potential new block, right? The BRICS block that is expanding into other parts of the world as well. Because since I've moved to Dubai and I'm a part of the United Arab Emirates now, they are being invited to join the BRICS nation once again. I was already a part of it because, of course, I was in India, but now a second time I'm being included in the BRICS block here. So I wanted to break down that catalyst because there was a BRICS summit in the last couple of days, Thursday, and the president of South Africa, I believe, has basically mentioned and announced that they are inviting 6 other countries to be a part of their BRICS expansion. And they are going to be part of it starting January 1st, 2024. Now, this is actually very important. This should be like a headline catalyst. And the reason I say that is because the BRICS nation are now combined. The population of these BRICS nation now combined is over 50 to 60% of the world's population. Not to mention a lot of resources with the mineral, agriculture, of course, commodities, energy commodities. We'll break all that down in this video because it is really important for us to address this, and it's a big threat for the dominance that the US dollar has as a global reserve currency. So hope you guys enjoyed this video, find it helpful. If you do, make sure that you drop a like. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Link to our Discord and Patreon is going to be down below. There is a 16% annual discount available for a few more days. I did open up a few more spots if you're interested in joining. Of course, getting access to all the binds alerts, options alerts, trade ideas, members only private videos. I actually posted a life update and my asset allocation in a private video for members only yesterday, so you can watch that as well. And of course, you get access to all the spreadsheets with the link down below. So this right here is the catalyst. So BRICS Summit 2023 highlights: BRICS invites Saudi Arabia and 5 other nations to join the bloc, right? And Prime Minister Modi, which is the Indian Prime Minister, congratulates the new members. So BRICS Summit 2023, BRICS leaders announced the admission of 6 new countries, which is going to be Argentina, Ethiopia, Iran, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, and the United Arab Emirates into the bloc from next year. Okay. Now, what is one thing that we understand about the BRICS nation, right? BRICS obviously stands for Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. Only Russia is at a global scale, a producer, a very dominant producer of energy commodities, right? Oil and gas. Russia is a very significant player, right? India, not so much. China is a huge importer, but doesn't produce as much. South Africa, no chance. And Brazil, a little bit. But Russia is a big energy commodity producer, right? Oil and gas, they supply a lot, of course, especially to Europe. Now, if you take a look at all the leaders basically announcing this 6 new countries, 3 of them, right? Iran, Saudi Arabia, and UAE, especially Abu Dhabi, right? Not Dubai, not Sharjah, Abu Dhabi more specifically. They all have a lot of oil. In fact, Saudi Arabia, Iran are like some of the biggest exporters and producers of oil in the OPEC nations, right? They've got a ton of oil. And now, guess what? Combined with this expansion, the 11 countries, 6 plus the original 5, are going to have over 45 to 50% of global oil production. World's oil production, over 50% is going to be under these 11 nations in the BRICS bloc. So BRICS leaders announced on Thursday the admission of 6 new countries from next year as the club of large and populous emerging economies seeks to reshape the global order. Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa agreed at their annual summit to make Argentina, again, all these companies, full members from January 1st. And this membership expansion is historic. That's what Xi Jinping said, whose nation is the most powerful in the group of non-Western states that represents a quarter of the world's economy. Of course, China with the second strongest economy in the world. India obviously being the 3rd, Russia being one of the largest oil producers, not to mention the other ones that are joining in, also very large producers of oil. And the expansion is also a new starting point for BRICS cooperation, and it will bring a new vigor to the BRICS cooperation mechanism and further strengthen the force for world peace and development as well. Here are some of the other things that they also produce, not to mention that they are going to have a lot of raw materials. Brazil, South Africa, even India, a ton of raw materials and minerals and just lots of natural resources that these countries have. And these are some of the major agriculture exports of each BRICS country, which also account for close to 12 to 15%. Again, not a substantial amount, but on a global trade basis, they do still represent pretty significant exports of soybeans, sugar, beef, coffee, orange juice. We got Russia, wheat, corn, sunflower oil, barley, rye. I don't know how you say it, rye. India, rice, tea, spices, cotton, sugar. India is, again, a very, very important player when it comes to agriculture. It's the largest after Brazil. And of course, China, we got fruits, vegetables, pork, poultry, soybeans, South Africa, wine, fruit, vegetables, maize, and wool. Now, you might be asking, like, why are we even going over this? Like, why is that so important? That's because right now, almost 100% of oil and energy commodities and most global trade happens on US dollars, right? US dollar is the global reserve currency of the world. And we've already heard from the 2022 summit from Putin, and he's mentioned that there is going to be potentially a new reserve currency in place. We've heard from Xi Jinping. And again, the whole idea for the BRICS blocs is to do what? Lower their dependency on the US, right? Lower their dependency because, of course, ever since the US put sanctions on Russia, we understand that other countries have seen that as a negative because they understand that if there's going to be too much dependency on the US dollar, they could have that same thing happen to them in the future. So we want to lower that dependency on the US, and as a result, they are obviously expanding when it comes to global trade. If transactions start happening in other currencies, more specifically something that the BRICS nation come up with, that's obviously going to affect the US dollar. If you come over to the US dollar, we have seen the USD, so that's going to be DXY. We have seen it obviously go higher, once again, recover back from lows of about 99.6. It has recovered a little bit, back over 4.5%. But overall, it's obviously been trending lower, and it's down from its highs of 114 from back in September, sold off over 14%. So it did depreciate against a lot of other currencies that are in the DXY. And right now, if I do some very simple analysis, we're once again kind of tapping up to that resistance. That's going to be at 104, 105 for the US dollar as well. So that right there, very, very important level of resistance to watch for the USD. That's going to be represented as DXY, which is a combination of a lot of other currencies paired against the US dollar. So this again is going to be like a slow burning log, which is going to once again come up, resurface every so often, every few months, every few years. And of course, the US has clearly had its dominance over the last 80 plus something years, but we have to obviously be on the top of this because eventually if there is a shift in the overall demand and supply of foreign exchange, the actual strength of these economies and of course global trade, then we have to obviously be looking for opportunities where the money is going to, not where the money's been, but where it's going to. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Again, it's not like a thing that we need to be acting on right away, but it is something to keep on the back of your head, something that, in my opinion, at least in my lifetime, in our lifetimes, if you are younger, if you are 20, 25 watching this video, if you're even younger, in our lifetimes, it is a possibility that this change does take place, right? Because Ray Dalio's talked about it, over the last 500 something years, there's been cycles of these countries coming in leadership and then of course failing to preserve that leadership over the long term, right? What is more risky? Right? The person climbing the mountain or the person who's already at the mountain, right? It's more vulnerable to be at the mountain because it's much more difficult to stay there than it is to actually get on top, right? So that's why there's no room for complacency. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, found it helpful. Make sure that you drop a like, subscribe to the channel. Link to our Discord, Patreon is going to be down below. 16% annual discount available till the end of this month. So always happy investing. I'll see you all in the next video.